Tonight, Regina's chief financial officer resigns. A former lieutenant governor passes away. And concerns over how women's health is handled in Saskatchewan.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. Another major change at City Hall. After just a year and a bit on the job, Regina's chief financial officer has resigned. This comes just 10 months after City Manager Regina Anderson was fired, a position that still hasn't been filled. Donovan Mace has more.
After less than a year and a half on the job, Daren Anderson, Regina's chief financial officer and deputy city manager, is resigning. CTV News first reporting Anderson's departure after sources with knowledge of the situation confirming City Council received word of the resignation earlier this week. Anderson has been in the role since the beginning of 2025, taking over from previous CFO Barry Lacey, who retired in July 2024. Now, during Anderson's tenure, Council passing property tax increases of 7.3% in 2025 and 10.9% in 2026, the two highest single-year increases in the city's history. The City of Regina confirming his resignation Thursday afternoon, saying in a statement Daren brought extraordinary expertise to his role and was instrumental in navigating two challenging budget cycles. We thank him for his hard work and we wish him the best in his new opportunity. The city has not confirmed when Anderson's time in administration will end, but says a transition plan ensuring continuity and stability is in action. CTV News also reached out to Mayor Chad Bashinsky's office, which declined comment on the situation. With Anderson's impending exit, Regina is without permanent appointees for its two highest administrative positions after former city manager Regina Anderson was terminated by council without cause last July. Now, according to an update in March, a third-party agency is in the early stages of its search for a new permanent city manager. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
The City of Regina is looking for a developer to build housing in the yards across the train tracks from the city's downtown. The city looking for a qualified partner to lead a multi-year development of the 17-acre property along Dutney Avenue, turning it from a vacant lot into a vibrant mixed-use district. The city envisioning what they call a complete neighborhood. A federal funding agreement requires the area to include at least 150 housing units and a public park. A request for proposals is open until the end of September. Well, Saskatchewan is mourning the death of a former lieutenant governor. Vaughn Solomon Schofield passed away in Regina at the age of 82. As Wayne Mantika tells us, she is being remembered for her community work and dedication to the military.
Lieutenant Governor Bernadette McIntyre signed a book of condolences at Government House as she remembered Vaughn Solomon Schofield as a friend.
I knew Vaughn from being involved in the community, so I knew her in her role as Lieutenant Governor, and I actually knew her a little bit before that because we have a seasonal cottage at Buena Vista, which is right beside Regina Beach. So I would run into Vaughn, especially in the grocery store over the years, and so yes, I knew and really liked Vaughn. She was always so much fun.
Vaughn Solomon Schofield became Saskatchewan's Lieutenant Governor in 2012 and served in the position for 6 years.
I think she will make a great representative for the province and the people of Saskatchewan.
The former Lieutenant Governor graduated from University in Regina. She came from a business family, with her father, George Solomon, serving as a founder of Regina's IPSCO steel plant and developer of several real estate properties. She later served as president of the family firm.
It was a construction company that they grew exponentially, and that I believe they still own properties, and that the family's very involved in the business. And Vaughn served as their CEO for a number of years.
Vaughn Solomon Schofield was also known for her community work and as a supporter of the military. She was the current honorary colonel of 15 Wing Moose Jaw.
I am also quite looking forward to working with the families of the service people who are here on the base. They sometimes get neglected and forgotten, and they are very, very supportive of the military and of their families, so they need a little bit of support from me as well.
Flags across Saskatchewan will fly at half-mast until after a funeral. The public can express condolences online at the Lieutenant Governor's website or sign a book of condolences at either Government House or the Legislative Building. Wayne Mantica, CTV News, Regina.
A Saskatchewan power line company has been fined $70,000 over an incident involving an employee injury. Hunseth Powerline Construction pleaded guilty to one charge of violating Saskatchewan's occupational health and safety regulations in Yorkton Provincial Court last month. It's connected with an incident near Kenora 3 years ago when a worker was seriously hurt while working on a power pole. The court imposed a $50,000 fine and a victim fine surcharge of $20,000. A fire has destroyed a home in Canuckamaw near Regina Beach. The blaze broke out on Wednesday afternoon at the home with smoke visible from across Last Mountain Lake. Fire departments from Regina Beach and Lumsden responded, with RCMP also helping with traffic control. Police say the call was initially for a garage fire, but as you can see, it quickly spread. No injuries have been reported and the cause of the fire remains under investigation. Well, nurse practitioners are echoing the concerns of their patients about Saskatchewan's healthcare system, particularly when it comes to women's health. This as the province looks to keep up a high recruiting pace. Damian Smith has that story.
Healthcare for Saskatchewan women continues to be a dilemma, leading many to turn to nurse practitioners.
It's way more complex than people think of how to fix the issue because it's broken.
And as a private practitioner, Yi says the public system has gaps in the number of providers available, as well as time constraints due to short doctor's appointments. Yi offers hour-long appointments, which she says allows enough time for patients to voice all of their concerns and create a plan.
They're telling them these huge symptoms of extreme pain, issues in their cycle, mood issues, hormone changes, and they're not being heard. They're being completely normalized.
Health Minister Jeremy Cockerill says appointment lengths are up to individual practitioners.
Physicians are compensated under a variety of different models in the province, whether they're on a contract or on a fee-for-service basis. Really, appointment lengths are up to the individual practitioner.
In early March, the province opened up another round of nurse practitioner intakes in search for primary care for patients. That deadline passed in late March.
This is not a either or. This is an and conversation that we need to have in our province. We need more physicians and we need more nurse practitioners. I think that's exactly why we've seen a lot of interest in expanding the role of nurse practitioners, but also the availability of nurse practitioners in the province.
According to Cockerill, recruiting nurse practitioners will ensure that every Saskatchewan family has access to a primary care provider by the end of 2028. The latest provincial budget has set aside funding for additional nurse practitioner contracts and is putting $1 million towards a pilot project to enable select NPs to hire additional primary team members to increase access for patients. Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
And Sierra D'Souza Butts filling in for Sabine tonight to give us our first look at weather. And how are things going to shape up as we get to the end of the weeks?
Well, the next couple of days, we're not going to see snow in Regina, at least for what we saw today was that light snow. So a bit of a shocker, but not really, because it's still April. In terms of, again, what we saw today, those kind of patches and spots of green in that Regina southern part of the province, that light snow was happening throughout the day. In terms of the current temperatures, we are going to be warmer through the next couple of days, feeling more like that spring weather. Stony Rapids, we'll see right now a -6. La Ronge, that +2. Prince Albert, Hudson Bay, a +3. Wynyard, Yorkton seeing that +1. As for Lloydminster, North Battleford, a +3. Kindersley, a +5. Saskatoon, +4. Maple Creek, a +8 right now. As for Moose Jaw, +6. Regina, +5. But I'll have more for you about the warmer temperatures later in the show.
Thank you very much, Sierra. Health Canada has expanded the temporarily authorized use of strychnine to more areas in the province. A little more than 200 rural municipalities in southern and western Saskatchewan are now eligible to use the poison that combats gophers until November of next year. The province made the request to expand the eligibility after hearing from farmers in those areas. The Ministry of Agriculture, along with SARM, is developing a strychnine stewardship program that will be shared once the details are finalized. For more information, You can find it on the website saskatchewan.ca/RGS-control. Well, it's one of the most brutal yet important moments in Canadian military history, the Battle of Vimy Ridge. Dark Hall recently put on a performance honoring that battle and those who lost their lives fighting for Canada. Jacob Carr has more.
And then the barrage lifted, and suddenly they had no more cover. It was just Canadian soldiers and German soldiers. And the Canadians attacked.
A special performance with a mixture of spoken word and music titled Ridge, written and performed by Juno-nominated folk group The Fugitives. According to group member Brendan McLeod, the thought behind the performance was for younger generations to understand the significance of World War I and the Battle of Vimy Ridge.
Trying to really drill down on exactly what happened in World War I from the perspective of the soldiers, and how different that is from my experience and what I can possibly do as a human to comprehend it better.
Outside the theater, a display of World War I artifacts put on by the Royal United Services Institute of Regina, with help from the local Royal Canadian Legion Museum.
These were just kids from Saskatchewan, farmers, kids from the city. A lot of them lied about their age to get into the military and go overseas, and what a culture shock that must have been for them.
Loney says of the over 3,500 Canadian soldiers that died at Vimy Ridge, around 400 were from Saskatchewan, and people, both young and old, came to Dark Hall to take in a performance and commemorate each and every one of those brave souls. Remembering their sacrifice is something that one attendee says is lacking in this day and age.
At this time in our history, there seems to be an absence of awareness or understanding of the meaningful contribution that our Canadian forces made, not only in the First War, but in other wars and conflicts.
But one young attendee was on hand to learn about and appreciate this important moment in Canadian history.
Those who fail to learn history are doomed to repeat it, so I feel like if we don't learn about stuff that happened in the past or the mistakes that other people have made, there's no way to learn about it. So we can prevent making mistakes in the future if we learn about other mistakes people have made in the past and preventing that.
Take me back to old Ontario, let me by my mother's side.
Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Well, a major Saskatoon nonprofit is ceasing all of its services amid a financial crisis. As CTV's Stacey Hine tells us, the Board for Prairie Harm Reduction has decided to close all of its services effective immediately.
Prairie Harm Reductions will cease all operations.
That announcement that Prairie Harm Reduction will be permanently closing follows a tumultuous few weeks.
It was, I think, one of the hardest decisions in the lives of many of us on the board to make the decision that we did.
The closure comes just weeks after a significant financial shortfall came to light, resulting in the organization's executive director being terminated. Brady Knight wouldn't provide details about the shortfall, only saying it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Based on the information that we received, we were not aware of any potential issues prior to early March.
Because of the financial issues, Health Canada pulled Prairie Harm Reduction's exemption to operate a supervised consumption site. The province also pulled $2.5 million in annual funding for its other support services. In a statement to CTV News, the Ministry of Social Services says it paid PHR in full on April 1st to deliver specific services to child and family clients until the end of the month, and was advised of the shutdown a couple of days ago. It says there will be no disruption to youth in PHR's care, as it provided youth housing, adding they will provide alternate care options. The closure also means the 70 full-time employees of PHR will be let go, and the drop-in center and other family support services will no longer be available.
All that we can do at this point is commit to working as much as we can with our community partners, with the various levels of government, in order to make sure the impact on the people who access our services is as little as possible.
Knight says in the coming weeks, the board will try to see if anything from the organization can be salvaged, adding there are still many unanswered questions without the financial means to conduct a forensic audit on its finances. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still ahead, the Prime Minister and Conservative leader react to the latest floor crosser. And Iran claims the U.S. and Israel are already breaking the ceasefire deal.
Tonight,
I wouldn't have married him. I wouldn't have done any of these things.
how one man was able to marry multiple women at once.
There's no further investigation done.
Are Canadian officials turning a blind eye? W5 investigates tonight on CTV National News and ctvnews.ca.
A flurry of questions today about MP Marilyn Gladu and her decision to join the Liberal caucus. She was a staunch Conservative for years with opposing views before suddenly switching alliance. Abigail Bimman on what both Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre had to say about the floor crossing and the possibility of more to come.
The Liberals are in for 4 long years.
A Conservative so dyed in the wool she dressed up as Death.
Death is not ready for you.
To pump up her election-defeated colleagues a decade ago. A few years later,
my name is Marilyn Gladu, and I'm running to be the federal leader of the Conservative Party and the next Prime Minister of Canada.
Today's Liberal Prime Minister left explaining how the newly bigger tent Liberal Party absorbs Gladu, a social Conservative who fought a bill banning conversion therapy for being too broad and said she'd allow MPs to advance bills restricting abortion.
She will vote with the government if there are votes relating to any aspect of that issue, as well as the rights of Canadians to be their whole selves, to love who they love, and to fully enjoy their rights.
Mark Carney is saying to Canadians, your vote does not count.
In BC, the Conservative leader said constituents should be able to have a by-election after a floor crossing, and he deflected a question about what losing 4 MPs means for his leadership.
87% of grassroots Conservatives who backed up my leadership less than 90 days ago to fight for an affordable, safe, and strong Canada. Our mandate and my leadership does not come from dirty backroom deals.
While the newest federal party leader sees the floor crossings as an opportunity.
Also, they're getting floor crossers from the extreme right, and I don't know what it means to be a Liberal anymore. Canadians need a progressive alternative, and the lane is wide open for the NDP there.
Asked about the possibility of even more floor crossers, which has political circles buzzing, the Prime Minister said in this process he's nearly the last to know. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Regina Capel MP Andrew Scheer was on Your Mourning Saskatchewan earlier today, and he shared his thoughts of the floor crossing.
It's disappointing. You know, Marilyn made a commitment to her voters and her Conservative team that she would fight to end Liberal inflation, to fight for relief and affordability crisis, and now she's joined the very party that's caused it all in the first place. So I never understand how people can do that, now join a party that's completely opposite of all her publicly stated positions. It's also kind of cynical for Mark Carney. You know, he's been doing this cobbling this majority that Canadians denied him in the last election. Canadians gave him a minority government, not a majority. And I don't think voters are pleased that the fundamental nature of the government he leads has changed through backroom deals and private conversations that Canadians don't have an opportunity to pass judgment on.
On the second day of a ceasefire with Iran, the shaky deal is facing headwinds as Tehran is already accusing the U.S. and Israel of violating the ceasefire's terms. Joy Malbin has the latest from Washington.
Israel blew up bridges in Lebanon in its battle against Iranian-backed Hezbollah militants. Yesterday's bombings in Beirut, one of the deadliest, says the health ministry, killing hundreds and wounding more. Angering Iran, who insists that attacking Lebanon is off limits and part of the ceasefire.
No ceasefire ever goes without a little bit of choppiness. What we have been very clear about is that we want to stop the bombing. We want our allies to stop the bombing, and we want the Iranians to do the same thing.
The Trump administration asked Israel to scale back. Today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu authorizing direct talks with Lebanon aimed at disarming Hezbollah and bolstering a shaky truce with Iran that still has a grip on the Strait of Hormuz. Video shows very little traffic moving through the critical oil and shipping route, opening it a key demand from President Donald Trump, who issued a new warning saying the U.S. military will remain in Iran until such time as the real agreement reached is fully complied with. If not, then the shooting starts bigger and better and stronger. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte says the alliance is working with Washington to keep the strait open. President Trump has repeatedly threatened to withdraw from NATO over a lack of support for his war in Iran.
Some allies were a bit slow, to say the least. But what I see when I look across Europe today is allies providing a massive amount of support, basing, logistics and other measures to ensure the powerful U.S. military succeeds in denying Iran a nuclear weapon.
And those high-stakes peace talks set to take place this weekend in Pakistan. The president telling reporters that he's optimistic, adding that if Iran doesn't make a deal, it will be very painful. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
British Defence Ministry is calling out Russian activity in UK waters after 3 submarines were detected and tracked near critical undersea infrastructure.
And to President Putin, I say, we see you. We see your activity over our cables and our pipelines.
The British Defence Secretary says any attempt to damage those cables or pipelines will have serious consequences. The Russian sub spent about a month in UK waters. British forces were deployed to monitor the Russian activity. 1 Russian attack sub and 2 specialist subs for deep-sea research have since left the area. No damage has been detected. And U.S. First Lady Melania Trump is denying any ties to late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, calling it lies in a rare White House address.
The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertakings. Numerous fake images and statements about Epstein and me have been circulating on social media for years now. Be cautious about what you believe.
Melania Trump also rejected claims she had any relationship with Epstein's accomplice, Ms. Maxwell. She claims she is being falsely linked to Epstein for financial and political reasons. The First Lady also called for a congressional hearing for Epstein's victims to testify under oath.
Coming up, we'll tell you what a BC woman, a cow-like vehicle, and a squirrel have in common.
Camping reservations open Monday in Saskatchewan. On your morning, we are finding out what has changed this year, what you can expect at parks once you get there, and how to book that site.
Welcome back to the show. Look at that nice sky in Regina. I love how we're still seeing that daylight around this 6 o'clock time. In terms of the warm temperature right now, it's +5 in Regina. In terms of what we saw today throughout the day, again, those green spots just hovering around that Regina southern area. That light snow was happening throughout the day, but it did stop as we got into that afternoon bit. In terms of what's to come later tonight, not much active weather in Regina and majority of the province. However, if we look up in the north right over here, that green and pink, a little bit of rain is expected to come about Friday around that 3 p.m. hour or so. In terms of heading into the weekend on Saturday, again, not much active weather happening in Regina, Swift Current, Assiniboia. So in terms of Sunday, though, overnight, we can expect to see that rain appearing in Regina, that green spot, Regina, leading up to that Assiniboia area. Overnight, however, will just kind of continue on for the week for those cloudy conditions. As for your forecast tonight, Losh can expect to see a low of -7 and a high of +7. Larange can see a low of -8 and a high of +6. Lloydminster, a low of -4 and +11. Prince Albert, low of -7 and a high of +6. North Battleford, low -6, a high of +12. Saskatoon, a low of -8, a plus of 6 for the day. As for Yorkton, tonight can expect to see cooler temperatures, a low of -6 and a high +6. 6. Maple Creek, low of -2 and a high of +18. Nice in those high double digits. Swift Current, low -3, +16. As for Moose Jaw, low -4 and +16. Weyburn can expect to see a low of -5 and a high of +14. Assiniboia, low of -4 and a high of +15. Estevan, -4 and a high of 13. As for Regina tonight, can expect to see a low of -6. Not so cloudy tonight. And tomorrow, that sun will be out throughout the day with a +12. So again, warm temperature tomorrow and leading into Saturday as well with those sunny conditions. A nice warm +14 for Saturday and a low of +3. As for Sunday, we will see a high of 10 and a -1. Monday, we will see a high of +9 and a low of -1. Tuesday and Wednesday, we will see those warm temperatures staying in those double digits, seeing a high of +12 and a low of +1. As we head into Thursday, that warm temperature will stay, but there is expected to see some snow. So throughout the day, we will see some flurries, and that will continue overnight. Flurries, we're seeing about 2 to 4 centimeters of snow is expected. So even though we are in that spring season, that snow is not done with us, Lee. So. But I mean, it's Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and especially in April, you never think the snow is over.
I agree.
Thanks, Sierra. Well, have you heard this one before? A BC woman who drives in a vehicle that looks like a cow saves a squirrel on the side of the road. This isn't a dad joke, though. At least it isn't this time. Adam Sawatsky shows us the rodent rescue.
If you take a look at this dashcam video, the first thing you may notice are the horns on Emily Rose's hood.
It's all about the smiles for miles.
But if you look closer, you'll see a squirrel that was struck by another car.
And I didn't know if it was quite alive or dead.
So Emily pulled over and ran to its rescue.
Its tail was moving slightly.
So she swaddled the squirrel, returned to the car, and began reassuring it.
A calm voice telling it that it would be okay and that I was taking it to get help.
Emily says she has a habit of helping that includes stopping to help this car from being demolished in a junkyard.
He said if I liked it, it was $50 and it was my problem, and it's been my problem since.
And her solution for fixing this sort of vehicle that car folks dub Mopars included decorating it in such a way that it's now nicknamed Moopar.
And I love cows.
While she loves creating cow art, Emily says she's loved doing the major mechanical work on this daily driver even more.
I've put every bit of my heart and soul into that car.
And anytime she can, from volunteering to drive community members to rescuing other injured animals, she'll use Moopar to help.
Look around you, see what can be done, and do it.
Which brings us back to when Emily was driving that squirrel to the Wild Animal Rehabilitation Center.
It decided it had other plans. It totally sprung to life like nothing had happened at all.
So Emily stopped the car, and the squirrel, who she now suspects had been in shock, started moving around Moopar effortlessly.
And then it catapulted itself right above my head in between the window.
And ran into the safety of a nearby bush, where Emily hopes the squirrel will tell his friends about his near-death experience.
He'll probably say what a wild ride it was in that orange car.
That car named after a cow, driven by a woman who, instead of moving forward, was motivated to turn around and help.
It's moverless.
Utterly moverless. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Souk.
Still ahead, the Yorkton Terriers and Weyburn Red Wings secure big wins in their SJHL semifinals.
Both SJHL semifinals are now a best of 3. Last night in North Battleford, Yorkton's offense broke out in a big way.
Malin now sends it behind the net. Leonard is there, but it passes him. Goes to Dick. Leonard takes it away. Out to Sawatsky, a shot, and he scores!
Jai Sawatsky had a goal and 3 assists as the Terriers trounced the Stars 7-2 to tie the series at 2 games apiece. Yorkton went 3 for 6 on a power play after going just 1 for 7 in the first 3 games of the series. They'll return to the Westland Arena for Game 5 on Saturday night. Game 6 back in North Battleford on Monday.
Bruce, he'll take a bump pass, picked off, trying to feed it out front, they score!
In Weyburn, everybody loves a Sale. Josh Sale had himself a game, 2 goals, 2 assists as the Red Wings beat the Flin Flon Bombers 5-2. That series also tied at 2. Goaltender Joey Rocha had a good performance between the pipes for Weyburn. He made 39 saves in the win. Game 5 goes Saturday night in Flin Flon. It'll be 6:30 Sask time. Of course, they're ahead of us, while Game 6 goes back in Weyburn on Monday. Meanwhile, the WHL playoffs resume on Friday with the start of the second round, and an all-central Saskatchewan affair. Prince Albert, top seed in the East Conference, will face the Saskatoon Blades, a team the Raiders won 6 of 8 from this season. With more, here's Jasmine Pelche.
The Highway 11 rivalry has made its way into the playoffs, and excitement is mounting for the upcoming second round WHL playoff series between the Blades and Raiders.
We had a really tight regular season matchup against them, so I'm really looking forward to the games here this weekend and getting after them.
The Saskatoon Blades and the Prince Albert Raiders last went head-to-head in the playoffs in 2024, with the Blades taking the first round series in 5. The last time the rivals met in the second round was in 2019, with the series going to the Raiders in 6 games before they went on to win the WHL title. Prince Albert is Raiders head coach Ryan McDonald's hometown. He knows how big it is to face the Blades in the playoffs.
Now on the coaching staff, being a part of it and being a part of a couple playoff series as well too. And again, 2 great atmospheres, 2 barns that are going to be extremely electric when you go into, and 2 teams that are going to compete extremely hard against one another.
While the Raiders were first in the Eastern Conference to the Blades 6th, the Blades aren't to be underestimated and are ready for a challenge going into Game 1.
But we're a proud group. I think we learned that, and we've been saying it all year, that we can play with anyone in this league when we're at our best.
The Blades have already pulled off a postseason upset, taking the higher-ranked Edmonton Oil Kings to 7 games and claiming the series in overtime. Now, in the second round, facing the Raiders provides that much more motivation.
Every time we play them, we have this fire in us, and it feels real. Like, you really do hate them. You know, you want to beat them so bad.
The highly anticipated second round series starts in Prince Albert, with the first 2 games going on Friday and Saturday at Art Hauser Center. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
Still ahead, a library that sits on the Canadian-U.S. border.
Welcome back to the show. Let's take a look at your rural forecast for tomorrow. Nice and sunny in majority of the province, so that's something to look forward to as we head into the weekend. Meadow Lake will see a +8. Lloydminster, then those double digits, seeing a high of 12. Spirit Road 8. Kindersley and seeing a +16. Outlook will be seeing +15, Watrous +6, Melfort +4, Hudson Bay a +7, and Wynyard a +6. In the other parts of the province, Rosetown will see a +16, Leader and Maple Creek will see a high of +18. As for Assiniboia, we'll see a +15, as well as East End and Cypress. Rockland will see a +14, Lumsden +12, Pilot Butte as well. Cornack will see a +15, Kenora a +4, Broadview +11, Carlisle +12. In terms of Vibank, we will see a nice +11 with those wind speeds looking at that 15 to 20 kilometers. Again, Vibank will now see internet speeds up to 1 gig available through SaskTel. And yeah, looking forward to that nice weather.
Power bills across the province are going up for the next 2 years, but before the changes are official, SaskPower wants to hear from residents. Keenan Sorokon has just got back from a panel discussion and has more.
Affordability concerns were front and center once again Thursday with SaskPower's upcoming rate hike under scrutiny, and it's not sitting well with everyone.
The cost of living is incredible. Give us a break. We can't afford.
SaskPower is obligated to hold meetings and get feedback from the public for any planned rate hike. Electrical bills will rise 3.9% this year and next. That's about $5 a month for an average resident, but far more for northern communities who are having trouble stomaching another added cost.
Look at an urban rate, look at a rural rate. but look at a northern rate in the Northern Administrative District.
Others look to the billions of dollars of future spending and wonder what the future holds as Sask Power plans big expansions to northern mining areas, interties with neighboring provinces, and the cost of going nuclear.
That rate review just seems like the tip of the iceberg of all the issues that I think Sask Power needs to be held accountable for.
Sask Power hasn't raised prices the last 2 years. On top of the large capital spending, maintaining its 160,000 kilometers of transmission lines, its many power stations, and the fuel needed to operate all of that has all been getting more expensive.
It's up about $153 million since our last rate application.
But the Liberty says it's time Sask Power looks at new ways to make ends meet for northern communities being bypassed in favor of mining projects.
There's some people that have $6,000, $7,000 electric bills. They can't pay them.
With extensive plans to modernize and expand the grid over the coming years, as well as the rising costs to maintain what it already has, the panel here heard affordability remains the biggest concern, with electrical bills slated to go up 8% over the next 2 years. Keenan Sorakhan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan Marshals Service has reached agreements to work with a handful of Saskatchewan First Nations with the goal of improving safety in those communities. The James Smith Cree Nation is the latest to sign a band council resolution to work with the Marshals. The province says the Marshals Service will collaborate with the RCMP, which does have jurisdiction to police the First Nations, and will focus on arresting people with outstanding warrants and address criminal activities facing the community. The Marshals Service has also signed these agreements with Montreal Lake Cree Nation, One Arrow First Nation, and English River First Nation, with an additional 15 expected to be signed and in place by the end of June. The Marshals are hoping to recruit more Indigenous officers as well to ensure the service reflects the communities that they serve. A century-old library in Stansted, Quebec that straddles the Canada-U.S. border now has a new door so Canadians can get in. The change was made after the U.S. limited entry through its door last year. Kelly Craig has more.
It's not exactly the silence you'd expect at a library. This door is the newest chapter in the history of the 125-year-old building, and it's just for Canadians.
Canadian visitors, anyone who doesn't want to go through an official port of entry in the United States to use the official American door, now they're going to be able to use that one.
The Haskell Library straddles the border. In fact, this interview is in 2 countries.
Office in the United States, front desk up front, customers, books in Canada.
For decades, people in Stansted were allowed to walk around the building. But last year, after the U.S. limited access, instead of going just a few meters, you'd have to drive down the street and go through a border crossing just to get in the front door.
Most of the Americans that we see coming from far, they're apologetic. They want to say they're sorry. They want to help. And sometimes you'll see a lot of anger on the Canadian side.
As it stands now, for a Canadian to get into the library, they first have to go through this door, up 3 flights of stairs, through the Opera House, which is actually up on top of the library, down 3 more flights of stairs, and through the office before you actually get to the library and the books.
You've got a lot of people with reduced mobility or just aging, so for a lot of people that has been hard. There has been a lot of people who have not come.
The library is a heritage building, so plans for the new entrance were in the hands of the Quebec government.
We didn't have much to say about it except paying, which is close to $600,000.
Money the library has had to fundraise because there's no provincial grants available. In the past, the library has been a flashpoint for tensions between the 2 countries, one those here hope can be overcome.
Yes, it's negative, but we turned it into something positive and something that unites.
The official ribbon cutting is expected in June. The library hopes communities on both sides of the border come to the opening of a new door. Kelly Gregg, CTV News, Stansted.
All right, let's take a look at your canola street price, down $8.10 to $652.73 per ton, while the futures price is up $3.20 to $708.70 per ton. Amber durum wheat, $278.59 per ton. Red spring wheat's down $3.41 to $270.56 per ton. Feed barley is $250.88 per ton. Flax, $630.54 per ton. Those prices courtesy of Bunge and Ice Canada futures. The markets, TSX down 142 points, while the Dow Jones went the other direction, up by 275 points. The Canadian dollar, it went up almost to 0.2 cents to 72.40 cents US. On the commodity front, gold up $47.74. West Texas Intermediate crude up $3.46, while Western Canadian Select crude a big drop by more than $8. It's now $71.55 a barrel. When it comes to gas in Regina, it hasn't hit us yet. Expected to go down, no. It's currently at $1.75.9 per liter.
Shovels are on the ground for the expansion of the Port of Montreal. The Prime Minister was there for the groundbreaking today. His government is providing just over $1 billion to more than double the port's capacity. And Ottawa's Major Projects Office helped streamline the process. The Console Corps build is one of several massive infrastructure projects the Carney government has deemed to be of national interest. Roots reported a profit of about $15 million for its latest quarter. That's compared to a $22 million loss from the same quarter the year before. The casual clothing company has struggled to connect with consumers over the last few years and recently announced a strategic review looking at how to improve the business. There are reports Disney plans to lay off about 1,000 people, with cuts coming in the next few weeks. The entertainment giant recently got a new CEO and is trying to find money to invest in its digital businesses. The company has laid off more than 8,000 people since 2022. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Cash, do you like Big Bang Theory? Well, we've got something for you. 4 Big Bang Theories from 8 till 10, then Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, which there's a small connection to Big Bang Theory. Kind of a Kevin Bacon type thing. But anyway, big night. Organization attracts a mysterious and mythical creature claims there have been multiple reports in southwestern Ontario.
3 reported Bigfoot sightings have popped up on the U.S.-based Bigfoot mapping project. A Sasquatch was supposedly seen lurking in these woods in the Chatham-Kent area. Local reaction is mixed.
I've heard and seen a lot of odd things, but no, Bigfoot has not been one of them, I'm afraid.
Well, people sound pretty serious about this. Why are they serious about this?
Oh, I think it's silly.
Everything is possible.
The Bigfoot, said to be roaming the woods of southwestern Ontario, is described as 8 feet tall with cinnamon hair.
Cinnamon hair? Must have got just for Sasquatch.
Possibly. Mm-hmm. It's a unique color to have that type of hair, so you can see them anywhere. A family was spending a day in nature near Tofino, BC, when they had a once-in-a-lifetime encounter.
Okay, so it's rare enough to catch a glimpse of a cougar in the wild, let alone one that's swimming beside you. The family's mother caught the moment on camera as the animal swam alongside their boat, just having a swim. Rarely seen, cougars are known to swim to find new territory or track prey, which probably wasn't good news for them if it was swimming towards them. But safe and sound, apparently.
That's a pretty good distance. It looks really, really cute from there.
How rare is it to see a cougar in the water?
Oh, look at it. Aw. It's adorable. Just getting a taste of like nature and being outside.
Pretty sure you wouldn't say it was adorable if it was right in front of you.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Maybe.